Through the Gates is produced under the support of the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management to enhance, promote, and defend the North American model of wildlife conservation and responsible wildlife management. That's our mission. We're engaged in fighting at every level so that wildlife management remains science-based and conservation continues to work for our wildlife. To learn more and join the movement, visit SaveTheHuntColorado.com. The North American model of wildlife conservation is the greatest conservation model in the world. It's a success story that should be shared and celebrated because everybody is a part of it. We are here at Reno, Nevada for the Wild Sheep Foundation Sheep Show. And I am privileged, to just tickled to death that I get a chance to sit with Jana Waller Bair.
Yeah. It's a little complicated. I added bear a couple years ago, but it's the name. It's bear, and I'm a big bear hunter, so I had to add it.
But it's not bear in the sense where it's
B-E-A-I, right? It's B-A-I-R, but it's still cool.
Yeah.
Bear is the last name, so I had to add it. Yeah.
And so you've been doing this show for a long time.
Yeah, I think this is my 7th sheep show. I've been doing the show circuit for 16 years, SHOT Show, which happens to be at the same time right now. Hard to get them all in, but Hunt Expo for over a dozen years. But this is my 7th sheep show here in Reno. And it's by far one of my favorites.
So how many people come?
As far as attendees, I'm not sure. It's a smaller show, show floor plan than some of the bigger ones like NWTF or Expo. But that's half the reason I love it is it's you can see everybody in a couple days. It's kind of like a reunion. People may think you have to be a sheep hunter to come here, and I would bet 95% of the people who are here at this show aren't. They want to be. Well, don't we all? Yeah, we want to be sheep hunters, but it's just so much more than that, and it really is. Like I said, it's my 7th year. It's like a reunion. It's funny. It's just fun to see everybody. Obviously, new product from all the vendors. But the banquets are so much fun in the evenings. The dinners.
The banquets are like 2,000, 3,000 people.
Yeah, they're next level.
And there are 3 or 4 banquets.
Yes, there's Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 4 big banquets. There's the huge ladies' luncheon. So there's a lot of stuff to do that's not necessarily has anything to do with the showroom floor. And there's the full choral theater. I have a couple of films in there this year. So there's lots to do. And it's just, like I said, a family reunion every year.
So do you see an increase in participation from groups that historically haven't been part of this community?
Yeah, every year you see some new exhibitors, new items in the catalog. There's 6 auctions, I think, and they're online too for people that can't come, but then they're live as well. So you've got new things in the auctions every year, new outfitters, new hunts that are on there, of course, new guns. But yeah, you see every year might see a little bit different exhibitors, and then a lot of the same as well, which makes it like a family reunion. But it's a perfect mix.
Now, you don't have a booth here.
Nope. I just walk around and have fun talking to people.
But are you on the board?
I know. I'm not. I'm on one of the subcommittees. So I'm on the committee. It's called the Ruby Mayflower Blake Legacy Fund. Ruby was an amazing woman. Her husband, Derek, has been a well-known sheep guide coming to Sheep Show for, I don't know how many decades. Ruby tragically lost her life 2 years ago in a boating accident, right after they had their little girl, Harbor. And Derek wanted to keep her memory alive. And so he created the RMBLF, and that is actually a subcategory of Wild Sheep Foundation. And the whole purpose of it is to give women who've been through any kind of trauma, a hunt in the outdoors, to reconnect with people, to have, like Derek says, a little glimmer of happiness. And we've had 2 recipients so far. They have both been women who've lost their husbands in tragic accidents. And I've one of them, we're doing a film in the film tour of the hunts that they've done. And it's an honor to be a part of the committee. And like I said, it's underneath the Wild Sheep Foundation, but it's just another way to keep Ruby's memory alive and to show other people through these films that really how healing Mother Nature is. A lot of people can't get that concept. How is hunting healing?
Oh, yeah.
How is shooting guns healing?
How's killing something?
Healing? How is that healing? It's because you're in nature, you're sharing the experience with people, whether it's your guide or you bring someone along. Like our first recipient, Gina, brought her little daughter on the hunt. And for them to connect and hunt and and talk about the dad, Shane, that they had lost. It really truly is connecting. And and also we get to talk about Ruby and to keep her memory alive.
So what got you involved in what you do for your everyday life?
I'm if you go way back, and we're talking way back, my dad used to take me to conservation banquets when I was a kid in Wisconsin. I would go to Pheasants Forever, Ducks Unlimited. The funny thing is, we'd go to the Ducks Unlimited banquet every year, and my dad was not a duck hunter. He just loved the camaraderie. He was a big pheasant hunter. Loved to hunt pheasants, got into whitetail hunting when I was in high school, but he was smart enough to see in me when I was 12 years old, the love of being just by his side, sitting. We'd gone duck hunting a couple times, but pheasants was his big thing. And he'd let me tag along, when I was 5, 6, 7, as we'd hunt pheasants in Wisconsin. We started road tripping it to South Dakota. And he was smart enough to see in me this love of being outside. And so he signed me up for hunter safety when I was 12 back in 1983 when you can do the math, when there were that many girls. That's right. Age is a thing you should be proud of.
Yeah.
There weren't that many girls.
There wasn't women's camel lines.
No, there were pink guns back then. No, But truly it was the spark of my passion for hunting and just in conservation. I started to see the connection when I was in school, grade school, high school, when you go to these banquets and you just see all these hunters who love animals, and fast forward, I started my show Skull Bound 16 years ago because I wanted to show that we are animal lovers and that we're the ones who are the stewards of wildlife better than any single other group in this country. So I've always incorporated conservation messages on my show, and it's just been a big part of my life. I started working, I belong, like we were talking, I belong to 13 different conservation groups. That's less than $1 a day if you added it all up. They're 30, 40 bucks. You might as well be a member. You get the magazine or the email blasts. Exactly. You often get discounts with partners that are involved. It's a great thing. And I've got really involved with them in my last 16 years since the show started. But it's just an important message. And honestly, you've had the same conversation with so many people who weren't lucky enough to grow up in a hunting family, to have that conversation of, well, who do you think takes care of wildlife in this country? Mm-hmm. It's hunters. It's mainly hunters.
And that's become a narrative that is being argued time and time and time again,
right,
from what I always have coined as the animal rights extremists, mm-hmm. that they say they're not extremists. They say that we're extreme because we want to kill and kill and kill and kill. And you can't eat as much as what we say we want to kill, and you shouldn't be able to turn around and go pay exorbitant fees with all the equipment to be able to say that I went to kill something. From what you've seen in the last 16 years since you've had your show, how has the industry changed as far as what you believe about stewardship and about conservation and and not to throw anybody out with the bathwater, but there is a different mentality now than what there was 15, 18, 20 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, that's with the birth of the internet, and then social media. And I think, I've always said this, I think there's pros and cons. There's the beauty of we're able to get our messages out there, through social media, through YouTube, through Carbon, through shows. We're able to get our message out there so much better than we ever were. But we also have to contend with the BS propaganda messages of groups like HSUS, well, there's so many of them. Where do we begin?
Project Coyote, Mountain Lion Project, a Center for Biological Diversity.
I was just saying,
that we're fighting right now.
Yeah.
But some of that rhetoric has come unintentionally from our community itself.
Oh,
for a variety of different reasons. This is the divide and conquer deal is not something that should be ignored.
No.
We have a competitive nature of people on a variety of different levels. I'm not just talking hunting or fishing. The competitive nature has a tendency to drive a wedge.
Yep.
And I'll use an example really quick, and I'll shut up because this is your interview.
No.
That the National Trappers Association got into a piston contest about 10 years after they were formulated, and the Fur Takers of America formulated off of that. They formulated off of the National Trappers. They got into an argument.
Yeah.
We see that on bow hunters. Traditional versus tom.
Yes.
We see that on muzzleloaders because traditional versus inline.
Flintlock versus scopes.
We see that on long distance versus pistol shooters. We see it. That doesn't matter what it is.
You're right.
But this community has had a very strong relationship with conservation that brings it back to the center. You come to a banquet tomorrow night that's got 3,000 people. Not everybody agrees on everything, but they're here for the same cause.
Right. And that's the bigger message I think that people need to understand. Nothing drives me more crazy than when I'm on social media and I see hunters bashing hunters. There's nothing wrong with open dialogue, right? And we're never going to make everybody happy. You've got guys who love to chase elk or deer. And then you've got the houndsmen, let's say, who chase bears and cats. And I love it all. I have done it all. I hunt with a bow. I've hunted with pistol, muzzleloader. I've houndsman hunted. I'm a big bear hunter. And I've done it every single.
Your last name now is Bears.
Right. I mean, I think there's more bears in my future because of it. But it can be so divisive, and nothing drives me more crazy is when you're on social media and you see them fighting all the time. And I get it. You're never going to make everybody happy. There are some things that are going to affect houndsmen, for example, that the deer hunters like, and vice versa. But I think it just is really important to come back to say, like, are you involved? But are you just one of those guys on social media who spout your mouth off, or are you involved? Mm-hmm. It takes a lot to get involved. Are you involved with, Coloradoans for, responsible wildlife manager? Are you involved with wild sheep? Do you go to your RAC meetings? Mm-hmm. RAC meeting in Utah, where I live now, is the subcategories underneath the wildlife. Mm-hmm. Are you a commissioner? I was a Montana wildlife commissioner. Trust me when I say that came with a ton of stress with, I was honored to be a commissioner, but it was a lot of stress, and you're getting bombarded
and it wasn't showing up there for a day and a half, a month. It was like a month's worth of homework.
Oh, everyday phone calls and emails and name calling on social media and everything. But for the guys who love to cause those divisions, who are mad about stuff, are you having dialogue with people? Do you even understand the bigger picture of what's going on? Are you involved? I work. Don't we all? Mm-hmm. We all work. We all have jobs. You have to take the time off. You have to ask yourself, how important is it? There are some people that I so respect that I disagree with on things, but I know they're involved, and I know they're active, and I know they're members of multiple conservation groups, and I've seen them when you can watch the YouTube videos of your commission meeting, I see them there. To me, that's what I say is important. It's important. We all have different passions and love, but when you're talking about the greater good of our hunting lifestyle, you better get involved, and you better, whether it's just being a member, you're a member, or you go to the meetings, or at least you take your messaging and shout it out on your small social media platform. Everything has a ripple effect, and I think it's just more important that we all get involved. We're going to have to disagree on something sometimes, but are you involved is what I ask people. And, that special kind of person who loves to spout off and is always negative, that's the guy who's never involved. Have you ever noticed?
That's the hardest ones to turn around and convince that nothing is a fruitless effort.
Right. Right.
When we were doing things during the campaign on 127, that fur ban on Ordinance 308, the first time anybody ever heard about it, for them, it was, well, good luck. We're going to lose that one. And we heard that over and over and over. Got to the point where I'm thinking, well, maybe we will lose it, because there's so much negativity because those people didn't have the fight. And I find it interesting, Jana, because sportsmen as a whole, successful, driven, endurance, intestinal fortitude type sportsmen, they don't give up.
No.
But why do they give up on the political side of things? Why do they give up on the fight side of things in preparation so they can still train and apply for licenses and sight in and go scout and plan all these endeavors that they're trying to, they don't give up on that.
No.
But when it comes to a ballot initiative or a commission deal or a legislative hearing, well, we're going to lose that one. I'm thinking, you didn't even show up once.
Yeah.
You didn't even buckle your shoes to turn around and put your belt on to come to the fight.
I used to feel that way all the time when I was on the commission, where guys would send me a nasty gram of, how did you pass that? Well, this is why, and this is why we voted the way we did, or it went 4-3, but did you show up? Because at the end, you have mic time. You can get up on that mic. You got your 60 seconds or 120 seconds, however much they're going to allow that meeting. Did you come and at least, like you say, put in your fight? Put in your fight. And it's important. It really is.
As a commissioner, and now as a outside commissioner, but as a steward and a supporter of conservation fights and advocacy, people need to know that they don't just have to come and speak. Being there or typing in or virtually, but being a physical presence of something that is concerning to them is a major issue that our community needs to understand. Just showing up is imperative.
Yeah, having numbers at that meeting.
Yes. And we're getting ready to do something in March 4th and 5th in Colorado.
Right.
That we're asking for people to do a call to action.
You need warm bodies there.
Yes.
Yeah, you need support. And why is it that it can be easier for the opposite side? I'll say the people fighting us. They got their little picket signs and their matchy T-shirts, and they're often at those meetings. And I'm not just talking Colorado; I'm talking all the states. I see it on social media. They tend to be professional picketers. I'll give them that.
Oh yeah.
But we need to show up. We need to do the same thing. We need to be able to.
If they were giving out free licenses to something, our guys would show up in mass.
Yeah.
They would.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to say, turn around and say, come and get a free deer and elk license and for a coveted unit.
Yeah.
And you'll be guaranteed to get it. Oh, I'm sorry, but you at least showed up today.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the interesting thing is that this industry needs to survive. And it needs to survive on conservation, and it needs to survive on stewardship. It needs to survive on durability and resiliency.
Mm-hmm.
And as you have some people aging out and other ones coming on board, do you see the industry doing the best that they could do to help support that effort for longevity in the business model and supportive of the conservation model?
Oh, I think that's too big of a question. When you say industry, who do you mean?
Well, yeah, just the outfitters, the accoutrement or supply dealers, the firearms manufacturers, with clothing lines or whatever it is, everybody's got this new gadget or something that's bigger, better, meaner, faster, stronger.
Right.
Can that survive? That whole concept, can that survive if we don't turn around and figure out a way to fight?
No, because there'll be no need. There'll be no need to buy, the new latest and greatest hunting products if we're getting our hunting rights slowly taken away. I think a lot of the problem is people get comfortable and they think it wouldn't happen. We're never going to get our guns taken away. We're never going to get our rights taken. I think they get lazy and comfortable. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, take a look at some of the other countries in the world right now.
Oh yeah.
They're changing. They're changing big time culturally, religious, and so to me I've never felt it more than in the last few years that, this isn't a given. Having the beautiful right to hunt and fish is not a given. I think we could get it taken away. I really do. And I'm not saying that as a threat or fear mongering. It could happen.
Well, look what they try wherever they go.
Yeah. I mean, I always talk. I was just having this conversation with my mom the other day because my mom's got a heart of gold. She lives in Wisconsin by herself. And she probably gave $10 to some World Wildlife Federation, 20 years ago, who sold her name. And now she gets little stickers in the mail, from the ASPCA or the HSUS or you name, or Save the Wolf, little postcards with the puppy on the propaganda, right?
Right.
And I explained it to her mom. They're not doing anything for animals if they are very, very little. I mean, just look it up online. They've got red flag warnings all over, right? Mm. If you want to donate to save animals, you have to get involved in the groups I'm involved in. Mm-hmm. Groups like Mule Deer Foundation, Wild Sheep Foundation, groups like yours that believe in scientific management, science-based management. Mm-hmm. We're the hunters out there who are predator hunting to keep numbers in check, or bird hunting because numbers in check. And it's all for my mom, who is not a hunter. Who falls for the Sarah McLachlan puppy ads all the time. Mm-hmm. She has to be reminded all the time. And it just reminds me of how easy they have it, the opposition. They're not doing anything for wildlife. They're putting forth these stupid bills or the, legislation that's taking dogs out of waterfowl hunting, let's say, or trying
Which we have one now that's a puppy mill bill. People say, that's a good deal. But you read it, you won't be able to sell, trade, barter, auction, or raffle a dog in the state of Colorado.
Right.
That doesn't have anything to do with puppy mills. If you have 2 golden retrievers or 2 black labs or whatever you've got, and you have a litter of 8, the provision is there that you can only disperse 3 in a calendar year.
Yeah, it's not a puppy mill. Yeah.
Okay, so what are you supposed to do with the other 5?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the mentality.
Right.
That other people say, well, yeah, but they're talking about the breeding facilities where, the atrocious conditions. No, they're talking about that and all of this other
Read
stuff.
the details, the fine print.
That's the thing.
Yeah. And that's what these animal groups do with their money is stuff like that. They're paying big time attorneys. And then, we finally win something on our side. A year later, they're just rewriting it and putting in, different legislation, which is the same thing. And that's what they're doing with their money. They're not putting their money towards healthier animals, more sustainable animals. They're not. That's what hunters do, hunter-based conservation groups. And it's funny, I was just having this conversation with her because she received one of the postcards recently. And it's sad, but that's what I would say the average person falls for.
If you want to support a company that supported the efforts to defeat Proposition 127, then you need to support Davis Tent. Davis Tent has provided quality canvas goods for outdoorsmen for the last 50 plus years. For more information, go to davistent.com. Well, I said this in one of our podcasts, and not to interrupt you, but I did interrupt you. I said this in one of our podcasts recently that Christmas time comes along and you see all of these advertisements and people are in a giving mode and they've got Christmas trees and they got all the packages and they got all the family coming over and it's warm and fuzzy and you're next to the fire and you got snow. Well, in most places you have snow. And people see this and they're in a giving mode. Yep. And then you see these puppy commercials. So you see these wildlife commercials. You see all this stuff. And it's interesting to me because they're not 15 or 30-second ads. They're like infomercials between the Hallmark stories that are on.
Exactly.
And my wife is like, and she's not going to give to them. She gives to other things that she gets free stuff in the mail for. Mm-hmm. But she's like, those sucker people in.
Oh, yeah.
And you think you're doing a good job, but it made you feel good.
Yeah.
You got a T-shirt and it had a little Dalmatian on it, or you got this and talk about, cat rescues and stuff.
Yep.
Those are the things that we have to figure out a way to combat because it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. $19 a month from somebody times $1 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Is big flipping money.
Oh, yeah. Like HSUS, the Humane Society, those two words right there. People think, oh, I'm giving to the Humane Society on the national level. It's going to get dispersed.
And they changed their name.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's Humane World for Animals now.
Oh, well, that's probably because if you Googled HSUS, there's a big red warning flag out, for all those years.
It's Humane World for Animals now. And so that's more receptive to people to turn around.
Well, they had to change it because people found them out. I mean, I really do think, there was a big billboard in New York, Times Square about them being so fraudulent.
Yeah.
But yeah, those kinds of commercials reach the masses. If they have enough money to put an ad on like that in the middle of the Super Bowl, for crying out loud. I mean, that says a lot. Mm-hmm. And that's hard to combat.
And some of them are pretty convincing.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them are convincing enough to where they're pulling
your heartstrings.
That's what I was going to say. They're pulling at your heartstrings. And most of our conversation that we have on our side, they don't talk to the masses.
No.
They don't do a very good job of talking to the masses. I've criticized our community as a whole, not individual organizations or businesses. But when's the last time that you saw a conservation message on a television show that wasn't a hunting
show?
Television show?
There isn't.
No.
There isn't. No. And yeah, it's sad. It is sad.
And we've got more people to turn around and support that if we would figure out a way to fund it.
We need to send Nick Shirley, that kid, that 23-year-old kid. We need to send him on a mission to go uncover the truth about these so-called animal rights groups. That'd be fascinating.
Oh, God.
I'd set it to that kid. He knows what he's doing. Uncovering all that fraud.
So, Nick, if you hear this, make sure that you turn around. Do you think that your involvement? I mean, okay, tell us a little bit about your hunting show.
Okay. It's called Skull Bound. If I could go back in time and rename it, I probably would. I'm a skull artist, so that's why we named it that 16 years ago. And my mantra or motto used to be, it's about living. Not because everyone thinks hunting's about killing. Mm-hmm. I mean, it goes a bit deeper than that. It's really about living. It's about sustainability. It's about getting out in nature. It's like truly what all of us hunters, we feel the most alive. So that's why I've always said it's about living. But when I started my show, I was on Sportsman for 9 years, went to digital 7 years ago. I'm excited at the end of this week. Believe it or not, I'm a little late to the game, but I'm finally launching a YouTube channel. I used to have a small little YouTube channel way back in the beginning where we just put little never episodes, just little pieces we'd film here and there. But long story short, I'm launching a big YouTube channel that's got tons of content for almost all my episodes from the last 16 years. Within a bunch of those episodes are conservation minutes. That's what I'm trying to do. And now, mind you, someone who's going to turn on my show is probably going to watch hunting.
Right.
It is hard to reach, the non-hunting world, because they're going to turn on Skull Bound to watch hunting. But I'm hopefully going to educate them in messages they might not have known. There's conservation minutes within many of the episodes. Or like last year, I went out because I live in Utah now with my husband, John. John's very involved. He's been involved with Utah wildlife since his whole adult life, for over 30 years.
But he's got family, or he's originally from Colorado.
Yes, yep. And a lot of his family still live in Colorado.
Okay.
And he knows more about conservation than anyone I know. I mean, he's been on they don't have a commission like Montana does, but he was on their board. They have a wildlife board. He was chairman of that wildlife board.
Is that of the RAC?
Yes,
type deal?
the RAC
Okay.
is the lower subcommittees.
Okay.
He was on that for 6 years, or 8 years. He was on the wildlife board for 6 years. Before that, he's been on every predator committee known to man. He just knows a ton about wildlife. He's really actually taught me a ton in the last 6 years. But we collectively, I would say hunting is our biggest passion, but conservation is right up there. And so anyway, on my show last year, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked a little bit. Last year, we went out with the division and we did a ton of their capture collar studies. We got to get up on these brand new fawns that were just dropped. Utah is the number one state in collar projects. They have more animals collared than any other state. And what those collars do is give us scientific data that we need to go off of. So they'll fly the helicopters in, they'll capture with the nets does, bring the does back to the biologists on the ground. That biologist is going to take their blood, monitor their fat levels. They're going to, if they believe they're pregnant, insert a little beacon, if you will. And then during the springtime, that little beacon pops out with the fawn. And I don't know if it's light detected or how it actually goes off, technically. But those biologists are able to get up on those either elk calves or deer fawns within usually 24 hours. And they don't really move much the first 48 hours.
It's almost like is it a vaginal implant?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beacon.
Yeah.
Vaginal implant. Same.
Yeah.
But they are able to, so we got to go along with them on some of these captures
Mhm.
and with both elk and deer. And it was just magical to sit back, watch these biologists work, and then just pick their brains while we're waiting for another call, of what they're learning. And they're learning just a ton. So when either that doe's collar goes dead or the fawn's collar, by the way, they grow with the fawn, and they're expensive. I mean, these studies and they're often funded by groups, the conservation groups. And it's just fascinating whether they're dying of something winter related, car accident, predation. They're able to get up on them very quickly. And what kind of predator? Was it a bear? Was it a cat? Was it a wolf? Utah, we don't have a lot yet. Where's some wood I can
maybe ours will keep going.
Yeah, I don't know. No.
Because they go over there, then you guys you bring them back,
Bring
just
them
like
back.
Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it's fascinating. And so I want to put stuff like that. I've only ever really released episodes per se. When I was on regular TV, they were 22 and a half minutes and then a bunch of other commercials, but 30-minute episodes. When I went to Carbon TV 7 years ago, I could do whatever I want. Some are 8 minutes, some are 30 minutes, depending on, and so the freedom's been super fun. And on YouTube, we're still going to do the same. We're going to do full episodes once a month. But then if I go out with the biologist and I have a 2-minute cool piece of collaring fawns, or we went out duck banding. Have you ever wondered, like when you, I've never been lucky enough, I don't duck hunt that much to actually shoot a banded duck or goose, or swan. But you wonder where how did it ever get the band? Yeah. Well, we went out with them at night. Actually, the governor and his wife were there. It was so fun. We're all netting ducks and getting soaking wet, and we're in the swamps of the Great Salt Lake or Utah Lake or wherever they do these captures, and bring them all back in these crates to the biologist, and they're testing their blood. They're banding. Some have bands already, or they're banding them brand new. And then those bands, when someone gets a banded duck, goes on the website, sees where they're from. It's just so fascinating. Again, it's science-based management. And I want to show more of that in these, it seems like nowadays everything's changing. TV is changing. And the culture that we live in now, they want it quick, boom, 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 right? my God, kids, back in the day, we had to reserve our VHS movies for the weekend, right? And that was amazing that we actually even got to watch.
Blockbuster.
Yeah, Blockbuster, got to watch a movie on the, in your house. Now kids get with their cell phones, DoorDash, their food's there in 30 minutes. Amazon, it's there in Utah because we live right by Salt Lake. I can order something on Amazon. It's at my door in like 8 hours. We are in such a culture of boom, boom, boom. It's super fast. The way we absorb TV is the same way. I think people want quick. They want shorts. They want, super fast when they want it. So I'm excited to launch a YouTube channel, and I'm going to focus on a ton of these conservation stories, not just full episodes.
And when you started this whole process,
Skull Bound?
Yeah. Did you have an idea that you were going to do something short or mid or long? I mean, did you say,
I thought
I'm a pretty lady who likes to hunt, and I'm going to turn around and tell everybody that they all need to be pretty ladies who like to hunt?
I honestly, so the average TV show, back when we started, the average show on the network, whether you're outdoor sportsmen, what pursuit, the average show lasted 3 years. So I thought we'd do it for 3 years and then I'd figure something out after that. I honestly did not think this train would be continuing down the track 16 years later. And it's just been a blessing. A lot of life is timing. When I entered TV, it was great timing to be a solo female hosted show. My partners are a lot of the same partners I started with 16 years ago. They've just been amazing. And the train's still going down the tracks. So I'm going to keep doing it. I'm still going to be just Carbon TV and YouTube, but I think that's how people want their TV nowadays. I mean, I don't have regular TV. I just watch stuff on my app. I don't have, who wants regular news? It's
Right.
fake news. So literally I get my news off Twitter or X. That's where I kind of keep up with what's going on. And then
CRWM, you got to.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I've always been a proponent. Like I said, I think John and I belong to 15 different conservation groups. I think 13 of them I belong to as an individual and have forever. And that's how I keep up. I mean, if I go to your pages, of course, to see what's going on, but I receive your emails. As a member, you're going to receive the newsletter, you're going to receive the email, you're going to receive the magazine, and really see what's going on. Otherwise, how do you keep up with everything?
Exactly.
I don't watch the news.
Well,
I watch Instagram.
So did the industry change, or did you just kind of flow into the change with the industry in the last 16 or 18 years?
I think you just have to go with the flow. I mean, you really do have to go with the flow. How my industry in terms of having a TV show has changed is, when I go to my partners at the end of every year and say, I need to show them how working with me is giving them eyeballs. Like, you need an ROI, a return on investment. And I can show them, well, these are my numbers on Carbon TV. These are my numbers on my social media. They're growing every year. And this is what I promise to you. Back in the day, it was you get a 30-second or a 15-second commercial, or you got a billboard at the end of your show. Well, nowadays, it's more like they want more social media. What can you do? Short reels, under a minute reels, messages. How can you promote our sales? So in terms of my personal business, the industry has changed. They're going very social media, very much to having people get their messages out through our social media, as well as I still do billboards on my show. I don't do commercials on my show anymore.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't ever do commercials. Now, if you're going to tune into Carbon TV, and there's 300 awesome shows on Carbon. If you're going to go in there, you're probably going to have to sit through a 15-second in the beginning, but Carbon has to make money too. Right. It's really expensive to have a platform like that can have that much bandwidth to have 300 hunting and fishing shows, but it's a 15-second ad you sit through at the beginning and that's it. I don't do commercials on my show. And then at the end, I'll show who it's brought to you by these people. But definitely the industry has changed, and my companies I work for want more social media. So,
do they see an evolution of things that are becoming more and more complicated for them to figure out a way to navigate?
Yes, yes, in one way, because on social media, which is where people are advertising, right? They're not our friends. The people who own Instagram and Facebook are not our friends. They do not like the pew pew world, the gun world. And in fact, that's half the time you don't type out the word gun, right? Pew pew, or don't use weapon, gun. It's funny. Even knife companies get banded all the time. I work with Havilon, and I'm good friends with Josh from Montana Knife Company, and they're talking all the time about the stupid bans they get that they can't even put a knife on. So no, that is a big a big concern of some of these companies, ammo, guns, that gets shadow banned, if you will, on social media.
We did a bunch of that during the campaign on 127, that we were shadow banned, and then we figured out a way to kind of circumvent or navigate some of it.
Yeah.
Not because we're so smart, we just kind of fell into the well.
Yeah.
And by just the natural cycle of attrition of everybody sharing our message and kicking it out, I think it actually, it barraged the shadow banners, or the algorithm god or whatever the hell is out there.
Yeah. One other thing I've seen changing is companies working together. And I love that. And I've always actually, I love, most of my partners work really well together. Like my camo company, Cryptech, doesn't care if I'm doing a show with, like, let's just say I'm doing a show with somebody else who maybe works with a different camo brand, or my husband. Let's just be honest. If you've watched me, so you notice once in a while, John's in Kuyu and I'm in Cryptech, and that's the big joke with it within all the companies is I love Cryptech. I've been with them. I wasn't with them on my first year and a half, but I met them in year 2 and have been with them ever since. I love their messaging. Battlefield to Backcountry, they're veteran founded. They support a ton of my veteran causes. I love them. John has been friends with the Kuyu guys forever. I'm not going to take that relationship away from him. And I love those guys too. And so I'm really lucky in that all of my partners are super understandable. I have friends who have TV shows whose partners are not like that, who will not let them air anything that has any competitor on there. But what I was going to say about that is I love it when my partners work together because the messaging can get out. Like my Eberly Stock is my backpack company. They're good buddies with the Vortex people. And they're, and even though Eberly Stock has their own camo line, they don't mind that I'm in Cryptech. And so, but if we can message things together, like you just said, and either because you can have 5 collaborators on a post, your message is going to get out there tons.
Exactly.
We wrap in Onyx maps that everybody knows. It just, that has been in the last year, maybe 2 years, a workaround that
we saw that
collaborate.
And not to just continually reference the campaign, but that's when we started to get on the landscape. We saw that industry leaders, companies, organizations were willing to come together in the middle for a variety of different things for the same common goal.
Yes.
And there might be some competition here and there might be some slack over here. They were willing to come together because they realized, holy crap, we could be part of this, or that they could be part of this at some point in time. We need to turn around and come together.
Yeah.
There was very little arguing.
The whole is more important than the individual.
Very little arguing. I just want to ask though, since you're wearing Cryptic and he's wearing Kuyu, when you hunt together, you got to stand on each side of a tree to be able to blend in because you got a dark side.
Well, I of course blended better because our camos. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But no, it's funny. There's been a big joke. In fact, when we got married 2.5 years ago, it was funny. We were joking about him being in a Kuyu tux and I'd be in a Cryptech gown, and But no, all the guys from both are amazing. I love them both. And if ever I was to feel, like I told you, I threaten to retire every year, last couple of years, but the train keeps boiling down the tracks. But if I was ever to feel like one of my partners was trying to pinch me out or tell me how to do stuff, I think I'd have a problem with that, just because I'm a very, you see what you get. I don't like playing the game. I'm old enough where I really don't have to. Like, my partners are fantastic. They know that who I am as a person. They know my messaging. I back it up. I've raised, now it's over $250,000 for conservation, just little old me on my own. I don't have some big company. I just do a skull here or a hunt there, or, and they've done really well in the last couple of years. And yeah, it's been over $250,000 directly back to my conservation groups. And it's just been so fun. I'm really proud of that. I don't have kids. I have a stepson who's amazing, Brennan, and props to him.
Does he wear Kuyu?
He's a Cryptech boy.
Yeah.
But he's married with kids. He's not a kid anymore. But that's legacy, right? And I don't have my own children besides Brennan. And to me, my legacy is conservation, and trying to protect what I love. And that's the hunt. In all general, it's the hunt. And it's, of course, behind that, the animals. I want everybody to be able to get out there and see what brings me the most joy in my entire life. I mean, I've had some amazing moments in the field that I just don't know what else would have ever given me that type of excitement and adrenaline and the whole, I have not yet found a word that describes the plethora or the spectrum of emotions that hunting does.
No.
There are days you want to cry, right? You miss, or you blew a stalk, or you whatever.
Or you harvested.
Oh, right.
And then you.
Oh no, I cry on all of them. They call me the Cryptech crybaby, but they're tears of joy at that stage. But you know there's such a huge spectrum of emotions in the hunt, and I feel bad for anyone who doesn't know what that's like, because it's magical. I mean, we just went on a Northwest Territories caribou hunt where I was crying in the plane flying over, flying in. It was some of the most spectacular country I've ever seen, the Northwest Territories. You just can't help but feel God. You feel God in his creation. You're looking at these beautiful red and golden rolling tundras. You're flying over moose. You can see their big paddles, and then there's snow-capped mountains all around you. And you are so far from Norman Wells. The closest village is hundreds of miles back that way. And it was magical. It really was. I have a film in the full curl film theater here called Mackenzie Mountain Magic that will eventually be up on my YouTube channel. But it was, and then, you get done with the hunt and you're still talking about it months later, and it's the people that were on the hunt. And we did that as a membership drive for wild sheep. And I don't do a whole lot of come hunt with me, auction items, because you never get, you don't get to choose who hunts. I've never had a bad experience, but I have friends who have. And that makes me kind of,
Well, at that point, it's just like you become an outfitter.
Yeah.
Somebody pays to go and you're like, I got 5 days left of this.
Yeah, and I'm in the backcountry.
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah, but the membership winner was a young gal in her 30s named Ashley, who was the sweetest, cutest thing ever. She's a veterinarian student. So how wonderful to show that here is someone who's committing their life to animals, to be a veterinarian and a hunter. Like, she'd already hunted elk and deer, and she'd she actually does a lot of solo hunting. And she couldn't have been more perfect. And I just loved it. And so we tell her story in the film a little bit. And then she said she was a chapter of a member of the Wild Sheep, a local chapter in Idaho. She's like, I should join the national level. She loves what Wild Sheep does. And so she's like, I'm going to wait for one of their membership drives. And she only bought, you can buy extra tickets. You could become a member, you're entered to win,
right,
or buy extra. She just bought the membership. She didn't even buy any extra chances to win. And she won this caribou hunt with us, and it couldn't have gone any better. Our weather was perfect. We all got caribou. The other caribou hunters in camp were wonderful, just shared wonderful stories. And I don't know where else and then my husband happened to get his dream wolf, which, talk about icing on the cake. People don't understand how hard wolf hunting is.
Oh yeah.
It's the pinnacle. If you're a predator hunter like yourself, I am. I missed a wolf one year in Montana. That's another episode you can watch on my YouTube channel. Watch me break into tears because I miss a wolf. I actually didn't know I missed him right away because he was pretty close. We howled him in Montana. There were no deer that day. We're like, what? How are there not any white-tailed does around? Like, what's going on? And then we heard a howl in the bottom of this canyon. Yep. Set up camera. Camera is rolling, and we howl in this wolf, this collared black wolf that I think we helped collar 2 years before that. I didn't even make that connection till way after I put the episode together. But anyway, long story short, I'm on the gun, and I was probably not even behind the scope house. I never thought we'd actually pull it off, howling him in, but we did. As he comes out, he's on the trot. He's trotting at about 90 yards out. He sniffs the trail. I shoot over the back of his neck. I thought I hit him. I thought he tucked his tail, but he was just like, what was that? And long story short, wasn't meant to be. And it's probably good as I was a commissioner that they couldn't scour the internet and find a big grip and grin with a wolf picture with me, because that would have gone viral. They already tried to bury me, as I was a commissioner anyway, the wolf lovers. But that was my chance. That was my one encounter. Maybe I'll have another one over the years, but people don't understand how hard wolf hunting really is.
Well, and just the highs and lows and peaks and valleys of the pursuit of game.
Yes.
As I mentioned, the sidetracked components of what we do. We prepare probably more than what we prepare for a lot of things in life. If you're really into it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know guys that have prepared. I think most guys have prepared more to go on a big hunt than to get married.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no doubt.
The wife plans the wedding. But the guy, I mean, he might have a little bit of say about something, but he's planning on, it's not going to be around hunting season.
Yeah.
And that's outside of that. But we have gotten to a point to where the community as a whole the industry as a whole has the ability to plan whether you're going to the bathroom in the morning or whether you're on your way to work or whether you're on your lunch break or maybe you're not on your lunch break. You can sit there and you can plan whatever you want at whatever level, and you can apply and you can buy and you can research. And those things have made things so much easier. But you would think that as much time and effort that people now have to be able to put into those opportunities, that they don't provide as much fight to be able to do those opportunities.
Right.
If you want to support another business that was instrumental in helping us defeat Proposition 127, check out Salida Gun Shop. Salida Gun Shop in Salida, Colorado provides quality products, expertise, and knowledge from individuals that actually do what they sell. Go to SalidaGunshop.com. Listen to the advice of Cameron Haynes and support companies that are supporting your cause and your efforts. Minturn Anglers is one of those companies. Minturn Anglers provides product and fishing excursions in Colorado and are second to none. For more information, go to MinturnAnglers.com. I'm going to step back on your hunting show. When you did that, what do you think, maybe you have this information, what do you think the percentage of legitimate women hunters were that would watch your show compared to what they are now?
Oh, night and day. In the last 16 years, 17 the first prep work that before you launch a show, night and day, I've seen with my eyes the number of legitimate women who are not just, and there's nothing wrong with tagging along. Let me say that. Like, if you have a supportive wife, girlfriend, daughter who goes along with you and maybe doesn't want to carry a weapon and hunt themselves, more power to you. You have a wonderful thing to have just that, the support. But the women who are now involved and who are hardcore hunters, or the daughters who are, I often go to my friends across the country who teach hunter safety. And if I'm around, like if in Wisconsin, I happen to be there in the summer or in, timing where they have their class, I'll go in and say hi to the kids or some high school classes and stuff. And it's 50-50 now. There's 50-50 girls and boys in most hunter safety classes. Really? Oh yeah. The ones I've been to in the last couple of years. And that's so exciting to see for me. Nothing makes me more excited than when I'm at a show and a dad will come up and say, I got my daughter into hunting because of you. She watched your show. She got excited and said, I can do this, and said, okay, I'll go to hunter safety. Or nothing makes me more excited than know that I inspired a wife, a girlfriend, a daughter to get out there with their husbands or their dads, or that's just the greatest for me.
So were you one of the first women to have a show?
I was one of the first solo women to have a show on Sportsman's. There's Melissa Bachman, who props her. She's just amazing. I love Melissa. And she is a fantastic hunter. She's the whole package. She started her start in this industry filming for people. How can I camera for you? How can I edit for you? She does it all. She went to film editing school, knew how to run a camera, how to edit, how to hunt, everything. She's been a hunter her whole life. I really, really respect her. She's one of the first as well, but we both were one of the first solo female hosted shows on Sportsman's Channel. And of course, then you got to give props to the women that were in it even way before me. Brenda Valentine's the lady of hunting. I mean, she had a show. She was one of the first women I ever saw on TV hunting. And I'm like, that's awesome. And Brenda's killed water buffalo with a bow. I mean, she's done it all. And then you have women, like Lee and Tiffany, Tiffany and Nicole, and who've had shows out there forever. And even though they're couples shows, they're still some of the first women, Ralph and Vicky. Oh yeah. I mean, they don't come any nicer than Ralph and Vicky.
They're just absolute joys.
They truly are. And there's so many women that have paved the road for me that I respect, and I'm lucky enough to call friends. But it's been an amazing journey. It really has. And as long as this train keeps going down the tracks, we're going to keep going with it. So.
What's your favorite thing to hunt?
Well, yeah, that's a super tough question, but I get asked a lot and I've narrowed it down. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's definitely what I hunt more than anything else, and it's bears. And the funny thing is, I actually remember when I started getting into bow hunting it was 19, I think, in Wisconsin. It was southern Wisconsin, didn't have bears, just northern Wisconsin had bears. I remember thinking like, bears are too cute. Why would I want to hunt bears? When I moved out to Montana, and started the show, that's when I really got into bear hunting. And then I slowly started getting into running my own baits. And now I run baits in Idaho with Heath, who's my producer. We're a two-man band, Heath and I now. He's my producer. And so I hunt bears. There's years I've taken 4 bears in a year. I've gotten 19 bears so far. So this year, hopefully number 20. I love it. I love it so much. And I also, might be hard for people to understand, but I love bears in general. As animals, they're fast. They have their own personalities. I've been lucky enough to hunt them in all over, Montana, Idaho, Saskatchewan, Alaska, Alberta, hunted them all over. Never though in the South, which would be super fun because they're monsters. They don't really go into hibernation and they're 600-pound toads, But I love bears. I love their personalities. I hunted them off the ground up in Saskatchewan and Alberta where we're right on the ground with them. They're walking by you at 5 yards sometimes. And it's an amazing experience. They get my blood pumping. I love to eat them. They need to be managed. There's just so many reasons why. But if I had to pick one species, it would be bear because there's so much opportunity. Montana tags over the counter, Idaho over the counter, Utah unfortunately not over the counter. But I love going up into Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan bears, they're not used to humans at all. They don't care you're there at all. Like versus Idaho, there's a lot of competition where I hunt in Idaho. And now houndsmen coming in more and more and more. There's a lot of competition. We've tried to sit on the ground with them and hunt, and it's hard. They won't come in. They'll just wait till you leave.
Right.
So we're up way high in the trees, but I love bears.
What's your favorite method to take?
Oh, I love it all. I've taken them with bow. I've never shot one with a muzzleloader, but bow, of course, spot and stock rifle hunting is such a different experience because you're covering so many miles. On my favorite spots in Montana, you're walking in 3 or 4 miles before you're truly hunting the big canyons that you want to hunt. You're putting on the miles, you're glassing. It's a really active. I love though running my own baits because you really get to know the bears. You have history with some of them. We had a really cool story this last year with a cinnamon bear that we used to call Cinnamon, and then we knew it was a sow. She had the real narrow face, real padonkadonk, and we just knew she was sow. Gorgeous. But for 3 years in a row, she'd come in and we just chalked her up to being a dry sow because she's obviously old and she was always by herself. But maybe, once in a while you can get it wrong, but she looked like a sow. We were pretty sure she was a sow. Then on that 4th year, she didn't show up. And we thought, someone took her. Like I said, there's lots of competition. Guys shoot. They don't care what it is. Right. They take up any size, any sow, any size. Well, the next year, there she is with her 2-year-old cubs. So she was there. She just never brought her new cubs in, so that kind of history is so much fun. She was not happy at all. Let me just say, that was the first time in my spots in Idaho that I was nervous to climb out of the tree. We had her on trail camera, so that's Cinnamon or Frosting. We called her Frosting too, because she had one time frosting all over her face. Looked so funny. And she was there. We're like, oh, look at her. She's got cubs. She had a black one and a cinnamon one. And we're like, that's so cool. She was smart enough last year to not bring them in because the other, boars will kill the cubs. Right. And so we thought, how cool is that? And all of a sudden, these 2-year-olds come roly-poling in and they're fighting over the bait and climbing up and down the tree. And I'm like, wonder where she is. She's letting them come in here. Hope nothing happened to her. And she comes in and her nose went into the air like that. She's standing we're on a pretty steep cliff face and she's standing on a rock 20 yards from us, but there's lots of branches with leaves and debris. And all of a sudden she starts the chainsaw. I call it. Da, 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 da. And she's got drool and she's she's like, and for over an hour pacing back and forth. And at first I thought, oh, so cool. Look at her being so protective of her cubs. She barked. They went way up in the tree and never came back down. And she's just rocking and pacing. And all of a sudden it's like, it's going to get dark soon. And your brain,
she's here and I'm here.
And your brain tells you nothing's going to happen. You get down, she's going to turn and run. But every once in a while, like was it Colorado or Arizona where that black bear ripped the guy off the porch in the middle of the day? Yep. Every once in a while you've got.
Well, look at the mountain lion deal that just happened in Colorado where, a hiker and a lion.
So rare, but it happens. So
So you want to be that person.
Yeah. I'm like, how angry is she? So John's like, we better get down before it gets dark. So he climbed up. We both have our guns and I have my pistol and I'm hunting with a pistol, but we both have, you don't want to, the pistols we hunt with are not quick draw shots. I mean, John's got, what is his revolver is monster. If it's like a 14-inch barrel, it's monster revolver. I'm shooting with a 30-30 revolver, big barreled, but we both have, pistols on our hips. And so we've got those. He climbs down first and she didn't care. She was watching him climb down. He gets on the ground and she's still there pacing back and forth on this rock. And he's like, come, and he gets his, come down, come down. I climb down the tree and I'm watching her over my shoulder. When my feet hit the ground, I don't know if it was just the two of us being together. She bailed off the rock, but are we like, is she coming around? And John acts all like he wasn't scared. He was scared too. He was a little anxious and nervous. There's something in
But his name is Bear, so I mean, it's
yeah, he's maybe thinking he could bear whisper her or something. But she took off with her cubs. And I thought the funny thing is she was so mad that she could smell humans in there. I thought she wouldn't be back all year. She was back the next day. We were gone for 2 days. She was back on that bait with the cubs the next day. Really? She was just basically bluffing, mad that we were there and maybe not sure, knew she smelled humans. But it's moments like that, though, that get your blood racing and you learn more about the species.
And the thing is, there's no harvest there.
No.
It's the experience.
Oh,
and what people don't understand that don't hunt is you had the choice to be there and you were privileged to see that interaction between you and her. And if it was her on her own, which it had been previously, you made the choice to harvest or not to harvest.
Right.
But you had the opportunity to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I want to ask you the percentages of times that you go out when you had a chance to harvest, maybe going all the way back to the time when you were a kid, that you didn't harvest because it was your choice, not because you didn't see anything.
Yeah, yeah.
But things that would have made it to where you decided not to harvest.
Oh, more than probably harvested. More being selective for one. I don't want my hunt to end is another reason. Maybe it's day one and you had a great buck or a great bull or a great bear and you just don't want the hunt to end. I've had that happen before too. Now, usually it's not with a giant.
So you're selective to a point.
Yeah. I kind of happen to teach trigger finger between the two of us with John and I. I mean, I'm like, that one's great. I do not consider myself a trophy hunter. And people could argue that, and that's a term, that loves to get thrown around. Do we love big game? Oh, yeah. Would I always wish my animal was bigger?
Right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's not lie. But there are times where maybe most people, trust me, just look at my wall. I've mounted many animals that no one else would have mounted.
Oh, yeah.
That are not a trophy in many people's eyes. But that was my first one with a muzzleloader.
But it's a three-dimensional image of a time in your life that created a memory that was valuable enough to you for the entire experience. Yeah. And that's hard to explain to somebody that can't even fathom somebody wants to take a life.
Right, exactly. But back to your question, there've been many, many times where I have not, just this year, I didn't notch a tag in Wisconsin. I didn't notch a tag in Illinois for whitetail. And you often don't see those. I do shows sometimes that are, we go without harvesting because I want to show it was a great experience. And I want to be realistic for the kids that watch my show. You're not going to
You didn't see 27 whitetails in 14 minutes and then...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It didn't quite go like that. They need to see that too, and that there's just as much fun in a show that, sometimes you don't take out but have a wonderful time. I think that's important to show now and then. Especially archery hunting, the odds of archery hunting are lower than when with a rifle. You got to get closer. Maybe you didn't hit the rut very good. There's times like that, or maybe you missed, or I can't even tell you how many stalks I've blown archery elk hunting. And I'll still show because we had awesome encounters where your heart's in your throat and you just have that adrenaline rush. And, I still do the full show. I want to show that. I want to show that to people.
Well, that's part of the whole experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I've never been one of those shows that, she had to do an episode. You have to fill 12 or 13 slots my show started in Montana. There's so much hunting opportunity. I think the people who have TV shows who feel like they have to get episodes might be like whitetail specific, where they've got to get 12 whitetail shows in a season. That can be pretty challenging. You're going to multiple states. My show's never been like that. If all else fails and I needed an episode, I'll go sturgeon fishing or something like that. I don't ever have to take an animal.
Maple syrup.
Yeah, exactly. Go morel hunting or something. But that's always been my show is I've never felt the need to get episodes. But there's definitely moments where I either passed for one reason or another, or like with bear hunting, for example, we might see a bear and he's across the canyon, but we got, I could shoot him right now, but it's about dark. And we're not going to get out of here until 8-9 hours later because we got to climb down, climb up, take care of the bear, do 2 pack outs back to the truck. And you just decide not to. There's plenty of reasons for that. You might not see them like on social media or TV shows, but lots of hunts go with not.
Well, and I mentioned that too, because we've argued through the fight that what we do and try to convince people that and try to get them to be educated that this is not 100% guarantee.
No.
Elk hunting in Colorado has a 9 or a 10% success rate straight across the board.
Yeah.
For bulls, cows, all methods of take, public, private, guided, unguided, or whatever. Mountain lion was 19% in the state of Colorado. So that means 81% of the people are out there that didn't harvest for a variety of different reasons.
Sure.
Maybe they didn't have the opportunity. Maybe they did and they passed it up. Maybe it was cold and snowy. Maybe the season ended or whatever. Do you see from your experience that there's a pressure building in this atmosphere, this landscape, that success is only driven by harvest?
As a woman, I don't ever feel that way. And I think it's different. I think guys do feel a ton of pressure. And you can see it when they make dumb mistakes. You can see these, I hate the word influencer so much, but you can see people who.
Because you are one.
No, I'm not. I hate, it's almost as bad as the C word. It's not the C word, but it's the celebrity C word. But I think there is pressure to harvest for certain hunters. I've never felt that way. I've just never felt like I've got to get a big buck or I've got to get a big bear. I've never felt that way. And I don't know if it's personality driven. My show has never been about that. I don't feel like I have to get a big trophy on every episode at all. And I've always loved, this is going to sound weird. I love the entire process. If it's the last day and it's not a giant, but it's a buck I'm happy with, and I've got 20 bucks bigger than him, but I love the whole process. I love field dressing. I love taking care of the animal and taking all the meat off and filling my freezer. I love it. I love tracking. Believe it or not, I love that, especially with archery hunting. You go back, chill for an hour or two in the cabin, go out, track your animal. Like, I absolutely love that. I've been called a ton of times by my friends, hey, we can't find my buck. Let's go look. I love the whole process. But I've never felt the pressure, but obviously the pressure is there for a lot of people because you see them making dumb decisions. Mm-hmm. You see influencers or YouTubers getting busted for poaching incidences where they must have just felt the pressure of harvesting, of getting that big buck.
But that leads into an unscrupulous level of community that you have in law enforcement or in religion with pastors or doctors or attorneys or whatever. Not everybody is golden. There's bad apples in every single case. It's just that we are being scrutinized because there's a certain segment of the population that wants to stop all aspects of hunting. Nobody's trying to stop attorneys. Nobody's trying to stop, well, some people are trying to stop law enforcement. Yeah. But in the grand scheme of things, they're trying to wipe us off the planet. And those individuals that create those scenarios, whether it's through pressure, nefarious actions, bad choices,
ego,
judgment, whatever.
Yeah.
That hurts every single one of us.
It sure does.
I take offense to that.
Oh, I absolutely do too. It sure does hurt us. Though those are the stories that circulate. You don't see the stories where, we raised, $12 million in the course of a weekend to make sure sheep stay on the mountain, because trust me, the average person does not know about wild sheep.
No.
They never see wild sheep. They don't know how fragile they are, the diseases they get.
They can't identify them.
Nope, they don't know what they are. They don't know that unfortunately that herd just got pneumonia, wiped out on that mountain. We hunters are the ones who are going to replenish that herd. They don't know anything about that. But they do know about the poacher. Yeah. Because it gets circulated. They do know
about the guy in Daniel, Wyoming with the
wolf in the bar.
So you trying to harvest the wolf are just like him in some people's eyes.
Yes, exactly. And it's too bad. But there are bad apples in every single group. It's sad, we have to all remember that. And I think it's important to remember that too when we're posting on social media. Let's make sure our pictures, the tongues aren't hanging out. Let's make sure there's not blood everywhere. Let's make sure they're clean and respectful. Let's also show a picture of you the next night with your kids eating venison steak. I think it's important because even though we're not really thinking about the nons who see our stuff, the non-hunters or the antis who see our stuff, but they do all the time because they're friends of friends. You know, have you ever looked
Well,
at,
and they're the voter.
yeah, but have you ever looked at posts on social media? You can go into the insights and see like 37% of non-followers saw this post. So we have to remember that there are these people who aren't hunters seeing our stuff. So it's important to keep it clean, keep it respectful, and show the whole process.
Well, because people take it out of context.
Yeah.
That they take that one image or that one.
Usually the grip and grin.
Yes. And then that's what they believe the whole thing. But there's not any, unless they read the whole caption, there's not anything there that explains that this was a 14-day endeavor.
Yeah.
And you went through trials and tribulations and you got stuck 14 times and and your gun jammed and the tent collapsed on you in a snowstorm and all the stuff that goes into that one image that you want to turn around and create a 3-dimensional memory on the wall. But to some people, it's the worst catastrophic image that they could ever possibly see.
Yeah, you will. That's why you see like Instagram and Facebook have the little warning half the time, and then you have to click on, do you want to see this image? You got to click on that. And half the time I click on, I'm like, really? Yeah. Like but yet there's other people posting, or women, let's just say that, like, how come those were allowed on Instagram where kids are seeing, and yet my deer wasn't? Like, that's such a double standard, But I do think it's important that we remember that a lot of non-hunters see our stuff, which is good. It's good that they're hopefully getting a little educated.
Well, but now, like I said, they're the voter.
Yep.
I mean,
we need to educate them.
When it comes to different segments of the voting public, they need to understand that this bad thing that's over here is not reflective of the entire puzzle of all these. That was one piece.
Yeah.
That was not reflective of the whole deal.
Right.
If you're looking to explore your opportunities to hunt out west, maybe try Colorado. If you're trying to get information about bighorn sheep, elk, deer, private land, public land, maybe it's everything that you want to do as far as pack-in trips. Maybe it's just having a pack trip decided for you, and then when you get there, you just hunt out of a drop camp. Make sure you check out the Colorado Outfitters Association. Colorado Outfitters Association here in the state of Colorado has got a numerous amount of outfitters that are members, and they can supply you with whatever you're looking to try to acquire and what you want to do for the hunt of a lifetime. For more information, check out the coloradooutfitters.org and make sure that you let them know that you heard about them with Through the Gates, and let them know that you're trying to continue to save the hunt in the state of Colorado. We always talk about supporting businesses that support our efforts to be able to save the hunt in Colorado. Well, the Colorado Shed Company in Penrose, Colorado, just outside Canyon City, is one of those partners. Colorado Shed has been building sheds in the state of Colorado for the last 10 years and is actually owned by sportsmen and women. They support the efforts of what the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management has done, and they also support all the organizations that you're probably a member of. Whether you're looking for small modular type buildings, sheds for your property to store the extra hunting equipment, or maybe just to turn around and put that freezer in for all the meat that you've got, check out Colorado Sheds. They also do pole barns and can do custom manufacturing to whatever your heart desires. She sheds, man caves, it doesn't matter. Check out coloradosheds.com.
What do you envision Jana Waller Bair doing 5 years from now?
That's a really good question. I don't know. Whether I'll keep the episodes up, I'm not sure. I can't imagine not doing what I'm doing. I still love it so much. I love, it's sometimes a pain to have a camera everywhere you go with you, and sometimes you just, like the other day. So our buddies, Richie and Clint, invited John and I. They're like, the teal are flying into the Great Salt Lake in the tens of thousands. The skies are black. You guys got to get out there. And so we're like, okay, next week we'll go. So we decide to go. And the night before, Richie calls me. He's like, we filming? I'm like, nah, let's just go have fun. He's like, you're going to want to film it. And I'm like, nah, let's just go have fun. And he goes, okay, we'll meet in the middle. I'll bring my camera. You just bring your one little easy camera, the Sony, and a couple of the action cams. Like, okay. Well, thank gosh we filmed it, because we limited out on 7 of us in teal, in a few hours, had so much fun. And it's a different experience. The Great Salt Lake, you're in water this deep. You can't get out there without airboats, but literally as you're driving out there, the teal are flying by and the skies are black. I mean, it's just a different, my point is sometimes taking a camera is a pain in the butt, but I do love that my memories are all captured. I can create these super easy episodes. So even if in 5 years I'm not doing episodes, I can't imagine not sharing my love of the outdoors and what I love to do and my conservation stuff on YouTube. So I'm probably we're probably going to be right here doing another podcast in 5 years.
I'll have a lot more gray.
Well, I just cover mine, trust me.
You'll have another line of horsehair bracelets and things that you're having to deal with to try to move into the next mode of what people like. Have you in your mind, you mentioned the celebrity, you mentioned the influencer side, but you become that. To a certain amount of people admire and respect and immortalize to some degree. I mean, look, I'm not anywhere close, and I'm not trying to be. But the amount of people that come up to me because of what we've been able to accomplish on the fight side.
Yeah.
I mean, I often wonder, is there a cape hanging off my back or something? Because they put you in a position that they don't act in, and they don't perform in, and they don't engage in. And I think that's difficult for people to realize that we have become voices at different levels. I won't say influencer or celebrity.
Yeah, no doubt, voices.
But people in today's environment, they see you as a role model for a variety of different reasons. Do you see that is good for the industry to keep moving that direction, or do we need to do it better?
Well, I think we can always do it better. I think we can always do it better. I thank you, by the way. That's very kind of you to say. I hope I'm a good role model for people to just get out there. Like, I got to talk about this for a second. I just got to sort of shadow the Women Hunt program underneath the Wild Sheep Foundation. They have a Women Hunt program. That program allows 12 scholarships to women that take them on a 4-day course in Texas every year, where they learn how, most of these women have never even touched a rifle before. They learn how to shoot, how to, we're talking plinging plates at the end of the 4-day course at 1,000 yards. Like, they really know how to shoot. They learn how to hunt, how to stalk. They even have a thing on how to track, how to field dress your animal. They all field dress an animal, how to debone the meat, how to turn that meat into hamburger. I mean, it is a full course, 4-day course. And I got to go mentor and be there with them. It was so much fun. And it just took me back like to the beginning and remembering the excitement, and they all harvested a doe. So they all got, all 12 of them this year got their doe, and they took their meat home. They all got provided a big cooler. They all took their deboned meat home, and it was amazing. And people might say, well, that's only 12 women. Like, what are you changing? Well, those 12 women all have social medias, and families, of course, families, friends, but then the biggest circle is social media. And they're going to go home and they're going to all spout on their social media about what they just learned. And everyone was crying of tears of joy of what this 4 days they just realized they just shifted their life. This is not just let's go try a tennis camp or let's go try, rock climbing for the day. This is something that's going to change their lives into that they can then go out and with their family and friends and hunt and do everything from the very start to the very end themselves. Life-changing, right? Sustainability. And it was beautiful. It was such a beautiful thing. And I think, like, if I go back to the role model thing, it was an honor to be there as a mentor and to feel like I was a role model. And we had so many times during the day where we were chit-chatting and they were asking all these amazing questions. And because I am old, I have a lot of stories and a lot, but I remember feeling like they did, that excitement from the very first hunt. When I got my very first doe down, I bawled. I was so excited. And there's a little bit of sadness too that comes with it. And then we could all talk about, is that normal? And but I don't know. And back to the 5-year thing, if I am not doing my show, I want to do more of that. I want to do more of getting people into what I'm into and leaving that legacy. How it all looks, I don't know. Who knows where we're going to be as a planet in 5 years. But as a role model, could we all be doing it better? I think we can all strive to be better in the messaging, in, like, circling back to the beginning of our conversation, getting involved.
Mhm.
Like, part of the Women Hunt program is that you donate your time after that. You either donate to Wild Sheep, you come to the banquet and you help set up,
Mhm.
or you work the banquet.
Or you're in the field.
Or you're in the field, or you're going to your local chapters of
Mhm.
sheep and helping there. You are giving back. Giving back is a huge component to their class,
Mhm.
to winning that scholarship. And I think it's huge. And when you really look at your life and you reflect, and I'm old enough now to do a lot of reflecting, the stuff I'm the most proud of is the stuff where I did give back, where I raised money that goes back to what I love, which is hunting and animals. And, I think that we could all get more involved, be a little less selfish, get more involved, and, carrying forth the mission, and maybe doing a little bit of research, understanding behind each, because, each fight's different, right?
Oh, yeah.
The wolf fight or the trappers fight.
And sometimes they overlap.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
There's a lot of fights going on
Yeah.
right now.
And they might overlap in timing to where, you almost feel like that you're marginalizing the effort because people can't give all the time for all the stuff that's necessary.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you have to pedestalize the reason, the
Mhm.
cause.
Mhm.
And that's the hardest thing that I see. The 14 gals that are in the CRWM Women of Conservation calendar.
Yeah.
The reason we did that, and because you bring up the Women Hunt, and those gals are going to be at the luncheon with you
Yeah.
and Renee and everybody on Friday. The reason we did that is because the demographics that we saw on the Proposition 127 was women between the ages of 18 and 44, 25 miles east or west of the I-25 corridor, that were not sportswomen. But these sportswomen that came out in full force to help defeat those measures in 2024 have a social following.
Mhm.
And they have empowered other women, because those other women, non-followers that you're talking about on social media, they care about good food for their kids.
Mhm.
They care about good outdoor activities. They care about wildlife and natural resources. They care about knowing that it's appropriately managed and that there's stewards out there like Colorado Parks and Wildlife or other game agencies. The women that we were able to secure for the calendar were part of our efforts. And I'm tickled to death. I'm proud that some of those gals are here. They're going to help run the booth. They're going to be in the Women Hunt booth. They're at the women's luncheon. They're having an opportunity to showcase exactly what I mentioned about 16 years ago when you started your television show, that your viewership was not a lot of women, because there wasn't a lot of women doing it.
Mhm.
That has changed full circle.
Mhm.
And I see an opportunity that we can continue to be able to push that as we move forward, because the women are still, for the most part, they decide what's going to be eaten in the household.
Yep.
For the most part, they're going to the grocery store. This is not marginalized in the women's
No.
activities, but for the most part, they tell the kids what they're going to wear. Dad's not, for the most part, going shopping. He's not going to the grocery store. He's not sitting there cooking at home. He's not doing all the stuff that the moms do. Moms and dads do a lot of this, but the women guide the ship on the majority of that. And I'm proud to say that what you've been involved in, and then what we found full circle, that over the course of our existence, that those paths are crossing and there's alignment on those. And I'm tickled to death to be able to turn around and say that CRWM was not just doing things on the battlefront, but also to turn around and try to promote the advocacy side from a sector of a community that has not been elevated, in my mind, appropriately enough.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, we all are trying to get our message out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the message of let's protect the hunt. Let's protect predator hunting. Let's maybe not release more wolves. Whatever the messaging is, I think sometimes when it can come from a educated, intelligent, soft-spoken, maybe hardcore woman hunter, that messaging can be that could be heard by others differently than if it were a man.
Mhm.
I just do. I think that, if we've got these hard charging women out there saying, whoa, 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 you're wrong about that.
Mhm.
You're wrong about hunting, or you're wrong about predator management, or you have the wolf thing all wrong. They're not endangered. And here's what we know. I think that messaging can come out a lot stronger and maybe more receptive sometimes coming from a woman. I think we all need to get involved. It's not, probably someone's going to be, that's sexist. Well, no, that's not what I'm trying to say.
No.
I'm just saying the messaging being delivered, this still is a male dominated, if you will, industry.
Well, it is, but the purpose of it, you still have to eat.
Yes,
And you
do.
still cook.
Yeah.
And you still have to raise kids. And you still have to, so if you divided the population down to 50-50, we all have to turn around and get up and put our pants on the same way.
Right.
It's just a matter of whether we decide we're going to wear leather or fur or eat meat in the process.
Or all of the above.
Yes.
But I do think the more women can get involved, it's going to get everybody involved. They used to say, I don't even know if these statistics are true anymore, but they used to say, if just the dad of the household hunts, the kids, I forgot what it is, 15% of them are going to hunt, something like that. But if the mom hunts too, the kids are going to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 89% or something. I can't remember. I'm lying on the statistics, but
it's exorbitant.
It really is. When the mom of the household hunts, the family hunts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been proven. And so I think that it's just only makes sense to get women involved in all aspects. The messaging, the conservation, the hunting, the cooking, everything. It just makes more sense to get everybody involved. And like you said, like we talked about earlier before starting the podcast, is people may say, well, I don't live in Colorado. I'm not going to waste my time. What's going on in Colorado is happening. It's just
everywhere.
It's just going to spread to every state. I think that you guys are under intense scrutiny now because of the fights that you have won.
Mm-hmm.
You're under the magnifying glass more.
Everybody wants to take the champions down.
Exactly. But if we in other states, Utah, previously Montana, if we in other states don't think that we're going to be fighting the same fights that you guys are fighting, they're wrong. We need to all.
Yeah, and as you lose states and you lose methods of take and you lose species to pursue and you lose management opportunities, but they're going to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Because the machine that's been created is to get rid of the harvest,
Mm-hmm.
get rid of the management, get rid of the fee structure.
Right.
They would prefer it to be tax-based, which all of that plays into the product line and the opportunities of outfitters and
Yeah.
I mean, you look at everything that we're here for Wild Sheep Foundation. This whole place, in some way, shape, or form, is under attack by small groups out there advertising to your mom over the holiday season and every other person that maybe they don't have to be that age bracket. They don't have to be male or female. They just turn around and be somebody that never even thought about hunting or somebody that really thought about hunting but doesn't hunt anymore. This is a volatile landscape. It's fragile, and I appreciate people like you stepping up to do things from you got conservation minutes. Those are things that a lot of industry leaders don't necessarily do.
Mm-hmm.
22 minutes out of your deal, how much time do you spend on conservation minutes when you do it?
Mm-hmm.
A couple minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's significant when you turn around and have a following and an audience. You become a role model. You become an influencer, whether you want to be one or not.
Well, it's been a gift. This whole ride has been a gift. I absolutely love what I do, and I've met just the most amazing people, and get to experience some amazing things, and it's truly a gift. But I feel like you do not need a TV show to be an influencer. The word influencer still gives me the creeps. You don't need a big platform to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, all of us. If your neighbor, is, complaining that you've got a deer on the back of your pickup and it's dripping blood into the road and blah, 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 have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them, invite her over for a venison steak dinner or some venison chili, or, take her over. I think it was Shane Mahoney himself, who years back we were having dinner with, and he was talking about what a beautiful thing it is that we'll knock on our neighbors' doors and say, hey, I've got some extra venison. Can I give you some? Or have you tried this bear sausage? It's amazing. What other groups share their food like that?
Yeah.
It really is a cool aspect of what we do. And, but we can all influence, whether it be our neighbors, our friends, people at church, we all need to do a better job of explaining what we do, why we love the hunt, what it means to keep it in our culture and in our country, and take them along. Take them along on your hunt if that's the case. We should all be. In fact, NWTF a couple of years ago had a challenge of, are you going to take someone new who's never hunted this year? And I thought that was really cool.
I try to do that just on the wildlife control or the trapping side of things.
Yeah.
People are like, what, well, you can talk about wildlife control. What is that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to turn around and go to people's houses, and we're going to crawl through their attics, and we're going to go through their crawl spaces, and then we're going to turn around and go to these power plants, and then and they're like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And that's just on the work side. It's like, take your friend to work day,
Yeah.
But to give them a visualization of human wildlife interaction is not always conflict, but it's not always fun and games either.
Right.
But it still needs to be managed. It still needs to be paid for. It still needs, there's a component there that people just have to understand, and they need to be educated about it.
Well, if there's nothing that drives me more crazy than hunters bashing other hunters, it's the comments from people who just simply aren't educated, don't know anybody, that nature balances itself out. Nothing drives me more crazy than that. And you got to weigh it. Like, do I have the energy to really get into this right now? But it does.
Well, come to my defense at some point in time if you need to.
Yeah, I always, once in a while, we reach out to each other, like, can you come answer this person on my page, please? I don't have the energy tonight.
Because I've seen through the channels that we've created over the things that we've been fortunate enough to be successful on, is I call them minions, but they're not minions. But the people that come and support us.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there at dinner one night, and I'm like, I just need to turn around, and all of a sudden 5 or 6 other people will chime in, and I'm like, huh.
Thank you.
I have blockers.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's helpful and it's supportive because it shows that it's not a one-on-one argument.
Yeah.
It shows that it's a community of like-minded individuals that are coming to the cause because they believe in it.
Yeah. Oh, I used to get attacked, but I also, so one of the biggest questions I get, especially from younger gals, is how do I deal with the rude, negative comments? And my philosophy, in fact, Melissa Bachman and I both, first of all, don't report them. Don't ever report them to Facebook and Instagram, because if you back up, remember, if they're not our friends. Melissa Bachman got her page on Facebook shut down. Geez, it was over a decade ago, but and she had 50,000 followers already, and we realized we can't protect you. We're shutting you down. Just go in, block the person, delete it.
Right.
Now, if they're actually posing a question, I usually only do that if there's the C or the B word, and it's not celebrity or beauty. Then I'll just block them and erase them, right? And I have over 5,000 people on my block list. I looked at it recently. But if they pose a question like, how can you hunt mountain lion? I thought they were endangered. If it's a legitimate question, I really encourage people have that dialogue.
Right.
Because they just don't know. And oftentimes I've gotten messages back that say, I had no idea. Because they're like, living in Illinois, maybe where there aren't any. And, they just have had no clue.
Or they've heard or they've seen enough of that other crap from the other side.
Yeah.
That's the first information that has been given to them. And then something else on that algorithm pops up to where something positive comes up. Well, that counters what the negative stuff was, but they didn't know anything other than the negative.
Yeah. And they legitimate questions I always engage in. But the antis who are clearly name calling you or being super rude, you got to have thick skin. And I was talking to the girls at the Women Hunt thing about this. Now, if you're going to start posting pictures, just know it comes with the negative too. Don't take it personally. My skin is so thick after, well, I wasn't 16 years of social media, but whenever social media began, of the name calling and the rudeness and whatever. And sometimes it comes from other hunters and sometimes it comes from the antis, but don't let it affect you. You block them, erase the rude comment. But if they have a really legitimate question, that's where you start that dialogue, and we can change people's minds. We can educate. And I think that's when you back to your question, what can we do better? That take the time to have those conversations if it's someone who really is interested. Those can be rare.
But there's a level of curiosity there.
Yeah.
Of they heard it from somebody else.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to substantiate.
Right.
And there's so much negativity that flies around, and it's so easy to turn around and create this social truth out of fallacies and falsehoods.
Yeah.
Just because if you say it enough, and enough people gripe and moan and groan. And the thing that I would say is our industry really needs to be cognizant about the AI industry.
Oh.
Because because you look at the shit that's on there.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, that wolf is not caught in a net and didn't ask you to come up and cut it out so it could take you to its pups. It was caught in a some sort of a snare device that you see. You know what I'm getting?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And if you read the comments, those people are like, "Oh, good job, thank you very much. We should ban that." And I'm like, "You flipping idiots!
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything to do with truth and logic.
Yeah.
It has to do with creating a narrative and a story by those organizations. Just like
AI is scary. It's scary
Yes.
to me. It is.
Yes.
But even more importantly, to get out and have the dialogue, have that conversation with people and call it out. If you see it on there and you're a hunter and you know that's BS, call it out.
Don't just do a laughing, crying face.
Yeah.
As a little emoji.
Yeah. Spell it out and tell people this is not the case. This is the truth.
Which I've gotten to a point to where there's some things I have a hard time shutting up on. It's like, okay. And my social guys.
You're like Kermit. Have you seen that meme of Kermit the Frog going crazy on his typewriter?
And my guys will turn around and go, "Why are you engaging in this?" Because it's wrong. I can't stand it.
I'm such a right fighter too. Like there's times John's like, "Don't even answer it." Like he's not really asking you that question, Jana. He's baiting you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I get into it too. But we can all do our best to, pray for guidance, pray for help me to answer this in the best way I can. To just help educate and help me pick my battles and that they're the good ones.
Well, you got a dinner tonight. You got other things going on. If you were going to give somebody a piece of advice on seasoned veteran hunters, people just getting new into this, and I try to ask these questions to a variety of different people at different levels. What piece of advice would you give them to either help support the efforts to maintain stewardship opportunities through hunting and fishing, or what would you suggest that they do to get engaged?
It depends. I mean, it depends. And we're all busy, right? Everybody's busy. We all have our busy lives. A lot of us are, moms or jobs or crazy busy. I don't have the time. At bare minimum, my advice would be if you are a hunter or a wannabe hunter or support hunting, at bare minimum, share other messaging that you want to get out there. Well, it doesn't take that much to hit the share to your story button at bare minimum. I've done that a lot and you're nice enough to tag me and stuff. And I always say, like, if you need something out there, tag me or something, I'll share it and this or that. That's, I think, the bare minimum people can do. Much more than that, in their local communities, they can get involved. Sometimes they could join a CAC, which like in Montana, the council, action council for people of Montana. Go to those meetings, hear them out. Go to the commission meetings, hear them out, see what they have to say. Represent, like you said, we need bodies at this meeting to represent us hunters and trappers. Go to those meetings. Get involved in your local conservation groups. They're super fun. Go to a banquet. I mean, I always think it's funny how people are like, I don't know how to get involved. Have you ever been to a Sheep Foundation banquet? No. Is there a chapter by you? Well, yeah, in the big city. How far is it away? An hour. Go to their banquet.
Yeah.
They're not that. Ask if you can volunteer. You could even go for free sometimes. Help set up. It's a lot of take down the tables and the chairs and just to see how fun it is and to be involved. I mean, my husband's an auctioneer, so I go to like 30 banquets a year at least.
So it's
fun. It's fun. No, it's but they are so fun. If you've never been to them, get involved in that way. Or if you don't have time to go to the banquets, do you have anything to donate? It doesn't have to be big. Maybe you work at Ace Hardware and you guys can donate a chainsaw to the silent auction. Seriously, like that raises money. Maybe you're an artist. No, I'm not that good. So what? What do you make? Oh, I make jewelry. Donate a necklace. Donate there's so many ways to get involved to help either raise money, because we all need money.
Yep.
We all need money to get our messaging out there. If you can't raise money, maybe you can volunteer. I know that there's a lot of projects too with like Mule Deer Foundation, for example, in Utah. They're big in Utah. There's a lot of projects you can get involved in. Go cut down barbed wire that needs to be removed. Go help put water guzzlers in. Go plant sage. You can even sign up and be a part of the Collard study. You can, because they kind of need sometimes like walls of people. There's easy ways to get involved like that. But at the bare minimum, almost all of us have Facebook or Instagram. Share the messaging. At the bare minimum, share the messaging. But otherwise, get involved in local chapters, go to the meetings, join the conservation groups that you could be a part of, either national or chapter, because there's probably some right around you, and just start getting involved in that way. There's a lot of different
Two things that I've tried to empower people with, and sometimes it's really resonated. That's why we got a bunch of these ladies together. And it wasn't just the 14 ladies that helped us out on the campaign, but everybody's got the same amount of time in a day. There's 24 hours in a day. It's what we decide to do with it. The other thing that I would say is, and I think that you would agree, that if somebody is coming to burn your house down and you see that they've got torches, are you going to let them do that? And that's what they're doing to the conservation community.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
Are you going to turn around and stand up? Now, I'm not saying you got to shoot them in the face, but
get the hose out.
To get the hose out to try to put the fire out.
Yeah.
Get the fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
Turn around and, call 911.
Yeah. What does that mean for you, literally, in literal terms? What does that mean to you by telling someone to get involved, to get the hose out? What does that mean for you, for your group?
You have to draw a line in your own sand to say enough is enough, and I need to go support that effort. I need to go publicly support that opportunity. It doesn't mean you have to go testify. Maybe it does. Maybe you're a Rhodes Scholar when it comes to writing. Maybe you're a literature expert. Maybe you could turn around and testify virtually. Maybe you could turn around and just know who your legislator is, who your senator, and who your representative, and who your county commissioners are. Write them a letter, know who.
And don't copy and paste. Let me tell you.
Yes.
Do not copy and paste those messages that get sent around.
Yes.
Take them, for all else fails, put them into Chat GPT and tell them to put it into your own words at bare minimum.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, as a commissioner, I read every single email that came in. But once I noticed that was the copy and pasted email, they didn't count to me. It doesn't take anything to copy and paste something and say, write it in, even if it's one paragraph. I support this, or I don't support this because, thank you, Sally Johnson. That's something, so another way to get involved.
And that's where I think that I'm hoping that these conversations like what we're having, or what hopefully I can talk to Randy Newberg and Jason Matzinger and Shane Mahoney and all the other people that have offered to turn around and be generous and give us time. Because time is effort and money. If people would just pay attention, this is like the non-followers. They're non-followers that sometimes become followers. They're non-followers that sometimes do their own investigative reporting and research and maybe, draw a line in the sand. And I'll reference going back to 127. We didn't win with 1 million sportsmen and women in the state of Colorado. We won with 2 million people that do not hunt.
Right.
That support hunting.
That understood
yes.
the support. Yeah.
That's where we have to turn around and create that message. And with role models and influencers and celebrities, the cringe when people say that. It's those sort of efforts that I think that we can continually turn around and try to get other people to understand what we do and what is necessary for everybody to do about how to save the hunt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think that's great.
Jana Waller, I do appreciate everything.
Of course.
Very much.
It's always an honor to chat with you.
We don't know each other that well, but I'm so appreciative of your generosity that you've been able to give us and look forward to further conversations. And I really look forward to emphasizing the fact that the interactions that you get to have with the gals in the calendar that can broaden those horizons at different levels. Because I think you're going to look at some of those and go, boy, these are just a joy of women.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so great. There's so many, there's a lot of amazing women I have met in I would say the last half of the 16-year career that I've had that are just super inspiring and fun. I know that I have to run the Full Curl Theater Room on Saturday, but then I'm heading over to the Women Hunt booth to hang out with the girls. So
good deal. Well, I look forward to future conversations.
Absolutely.
Do you want to give a plug to anything so since we have such a broad following, we want to make sure that we increase your viewership.
Well, that's really appreciative. I'm really excited, though. It is literally the end of this week. I'm launching my YouTube channel. So go check it out. It's going to be Skull Bound on just type in Skull Bound Jana Waller. You'll find it on YouTube. I'm going to still be airing on Carbon TV. So once a month, both on the YouTube channel and on Carbon, brand new episodes will be up. But there's going to be a lot. What's going to be fun about the YouTube channel is that I'm going to have lots of fun shorts, but I'm going to start to do how-to videos. I've never done that before in the 16 years of what do I put in my pack for one day in the backcountry versus what do I put in my pack when we're going in for 3 days or 7 days, stuff like that. I've never really had a place for how-to videos. And the girls really inspired me on that women hunting of Well, what about this? How come you don't even like how to field dress an elk? How do you pack out a bear from the mountains? Stuff like that. I'm going to focus more on how-to videos, again, to hopefully educate a little bit and inspire women, kids, whomever to get out there and get into the backcountry and do it themselves.
Well, it sounds like you're trying to be a pioneer on a variety of different things.
Well,
we're
strong
pleased to
word.
be able to turn around and try to push that for the limited audience that we have.
Well, thank you very much. It's
So-
always a pleasure talking with you. You are spearheading such a good fight, and people gravitate towards you. They love your messaging. You have done more in the last, has it been 5 years now?
We've actually, since the big part of the fight, it's been about 3 years.
See what you've done in 3, that's pretty amazing. You're kind of like Nick Shirley.
No, well, an old.
You've done an amazing thing in a short amount of time when the mainstream media couldn't do it. And I'm telling you what, you have put a better fight together than a lot of big conservation groups because you're very singularly focused, but also you're not just Colorado. People need to understand that bigger picture. The fights you're fighting are coming to our states too.
Yes. Yeah.
But we can all get involved and do a better job of getting that messaging out there.
I look forward to working with you in the future.
I do too.
Another episode of Through the Gates to Save the Hunt. We are here at the Wild Sheep Show, Wild Sheep Foundation in Reno, Nevada, in January 2025, and it's been a pleasure to be able to turn around and talk to Jana.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Through the Gates. For more content like this, make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe on all of our channels.